Have you ever wondered why everyone seems to be moving to Raleigh? Because we have so many distinct, wonderful neighborhoods that offer different lifestyles. I'm going to give you a driving tour today. We're going to go through a bunch of popular neighborhoods. I'll talk to you about the homes and what it's like living there. And if you were thinking of moving to Raleigh, remember, I'm your gal, Allie Buscemi, Raleigh real estate agent. All I do all day is help people relocate here. So if you're curious what the perfect Raleigh neighborhood would be for you, send me a message. My info's in the description below. No other better place to start a tour of Raleigh than downtown Raleigh. This is Fayetteville Street, which is the original heart of downtown and still kind of is the lifeblood of it. Up ahead, you can see our Capitol building, Wake County Courthouse. It is lively day and night. So this wide thoroughfare was part of the original plan of downtown. It radiates out from the Capitol. It actually used to be a pedestrian walkway. I bet that was pretty fun. But now, as you can see, it is sort of a center of commerce. Downtown spans around 754 acres, and it contains over 10 million square feet of mixed-use space. That's less than 1% of Raleigh's total area, but downtown has the highest density of living. Based on future development plans, downtown could accommodate up to 25,000 more people, and we see downtown Raleigh growing every day. There's a mix of government offices, restaurants, mixed-use buildings, shops, apartment buildings, of course, and there are actually some single-family homes tucked in here. When we head over to the Oakwood neighborhood, it is literally right outside of downtown, just east. We are going to go now to the Executive Mansion, which is kind of a crown jewel of architecture. It's a Victorian building. The governor lives there, theoretically, and it is in the middle of a lot of amazing Victorian homes. FDR called this the most beautiful governor's mansion in the United States. And I hadn't seen any other governor's mansion, but I would imagine that's true. So if you look over here, you can see it, and we will cruise by as well. They actually open it up to the public every year for a candlelight tour around Christmas time, and it is absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot of amazing architectural details, turrets, ornate woodwork. You can see a lot of it from the street, but there's nothing quite like getting to go in at holiday time. Downtown Raleigh has a lot of these green squares, like Moore Square. A lot of them have concerts and nights and other events like that. And it's beautiful. It keeps the downtown broken up with green space. Up ahead, you can see a peek of our Holiday Inn. It was built in the 60s, and it is an example of round architecture, which of course they don't really do anymore. They're going to demolish this building and build just your typical rectangular mixed-use high tower, but there's a huge outrage about it. But it's kind of like an iconic piece of our skyline. And in my opinion, you want to keep your weird architecture. We don't need another rectangle. So now we're going over to our warehouse district, which, as it sounds, is made up of a bunch of historic warehouses that have been converted into retail, restaurants, mixed use, even some housing. This is Moore Square here. They just did a huge renovation. It's beautiful, a lot of restaurants around it. Okay, and one more right, and we're going to be in the warehouse district. So they started revitalizing this in the 90s, turning it into loft apartments. Also, our Union Station train stations at the end of it, and I love that they kept the original facades of these buildings and didn't just demolish them all. They were all turned into mixed-use restaurants, shops, and it really keeps the character of Raleigh to keep these buildings intact. This is Cam Raleigh, a contemporary art museum, which has an amazing collection. Here you see one more block, the warehouse district. That's the VRD chocolate factory, super fun to tour. And you can see our high-rise buildings in front of us. But now we're going to head east. And just outside downtown is historic Oakwood, which has some of the most famous architecture in Raleigh. People love this neighborhood for its proximity to downtown and a couple other unique reasons I'll tell you about when we get there. You'll see a lot of these huge cranes around downtown because they building. And our skyline has changed so much in the last 10 years, and it's going to change even more with these projects in the pipeline. Now we are rolling into historic Oakwood. It is known for these amazing Victorian homes. The Painted Ladies, the Queen Anne Victorians. The homes are mostly from the 1890s and early 20th century. A lot of them are on the historic register, but there is a historic overlay over this entire neighborhood. So if you buy a home in Oakwood, you are going to have to get permission to alter your exterior because they want to keep it looking like it is, which is absolutely gorgeous. This neighborhood is also known for its Halloween. It goes all out. It's incredible. There's a couple homes that are so over the top. People come from all over to walk this neighborhood, really the whole month of October. They also do an amazing job at Christmas. They do a candlelight tour it's volunteer run. So the owners of the homes will tell you about the history of the home and the lineage of owners and take you around them. There's no HOA, of course, but they do have a voluntary community neighborhood club that puts on events and block parties and that sort of thing. But Oakwood is very proud to be Oakwood. So another very popular historic neighborhood is called Mordecai, and that is all around the former Mordecai plantation. Andrew Johnson, our 17th president, was actually born in a building in Raleigh, and they moved it to the Mordecai plantation. Now it's a whole museum, but that whole neighborhood used to be all the land from the original family. You can get a ton of charm in historic Oakwood. That's why people move here, because they're passionate about restoring and keeping these historic homes in great shape. However, if you want a lot of space, if you want some privacy from your neighbors, Oakwood's not going to be it. This is our iconic Krispy Kreme donut sign. They do a Krispy Kreme like 5K or 10K here where you have to eat a dozen Krispy Kremes while you're running. You can see there's fun restaurants here mixed in right in the residential area. And people love this general part of town for its walkability. This is the North Person Street area. There's some really cute boutiques and shops here. And it's right on the edge of the Mordecai neighborhood, which we are entering now. This is all anchored over the historic Mordecai Park. Now it is a place where you can get a historic home tour. It's a museum. They have like a lot of original outbuildings. But this whole neighborhood was owned by this original landowner here. And of course, it has a fascinating, troubling history. You can see some of the outbuildings here, and I'll loop you around so you can see the mansion itself. The Mordecai neighborhood also has a lot of historic homes. It also has some luxury new builds built into it. To be in any of these neighborhoods, you're probably going to have to start at around $1 million. Maybe if something needs a lot of work, you could get a home for $800K. And then depending on the level of renovation and restoration, or if it's a new build, you could go up to $2 or $3 million. So now we're going to head west. We're going to go across downtown to the west side, which is the Village District. This was really a pioneer of planned communities. It was the first planned community in Raleigh, and these homes are still very coveted because you have easy access to downtown, and of course you can walk to the Village District, which is a mixed-use dining, shopping. Of course, if you're considering any of these neighborhoods or you want to know what Raleigh neighborhood is going to work for your priorities, that's what I do. Send me a message. All my info is below in the description. Down this way is Seaboard Station, which is another historic building that was renovated into mixed use. There's a lot of cool buildings come to this area, and they are going to expand it up, but keep the original Seaboard Station intact. We're about to cross Glenwood Avenue. This runs all the way to the heart of downtown, but Glenwood South is our nightlife hub, and this area is just swamped in the wee hours with partygoers. So now we're getting close to the Village District, which is some really coveted real estate around town. But it is anchored by this mixed-use mall area. I don't want to call it a mall. It's outside. It's got a lot of great boutiques and shops. And if you live in the Village District, you can walk here. It's a lot of great restaurants around. It's very high walkability score. And of course, you're still just 5 minutes from downtown Raleigh. So there's over 100 shops in the Village District, 20 restaurants. It's all this open air design, so it definitely doesn't feel like you're at a mall. It's just a really popular place to be. There's a mix of sort of commercial stores, but also one-off boutique kind of shops. Really anything you need, you can get it done here. The Village District also has like grocery stores and medical offices, and less exciting, but the things you actually need in daily life for walkability. You can live your whole life right in this neighborhood if you want. So you're going to see a mix of historic homes here, and then there's also some luxury new builds. Anything they're building new in this area is going to be luxury. If you find something more modest, maybe needs a little work, maybe you could get in for $1,800K about. But in reality, you can expect to spend at least $1 million if you want to live in this neighborhood. Anything they're building new in this area is quite expensive. Like this lot was just dug out. And I can see by the sign, that's one of our luxury home builders in the area. This is a great example. The homes are set back, they're beautiful, and that proximity is why this area is so valuable. There's also sidewalks, which doesn't sound like it should be a big deal, but there's really not a lot of them. And then we're going to head to our next neighborhood, which I would say is even more prestigious than this one. And that is called Hayes Barton. Now we're in the Hayes Barton neighborhood. We're on Glenwood Avenue, but obviously not Glenwood South where that nightlife is. We're farther north. You can see these little pocket parks. Keeps it pretty green. And I'll take a turn to get off Glenwood, which is another main thoroughfare, so you can get a sense of what the residential spaces are like. Hayes Barton is a part of 5 Points. This is the actual 5 Point intersection that 5 Points is named after. So we're going to turn on Whitaker Mill and head to the Hayes Barton Baptist Church, which arguably is the hub of this. So you can see Hayes Barton has a lot of these pretty bungalows. It's going to have some more stately historic homes as well. And again, with the last neighborhood we saw, anything they're building here new is going to be very expensive and very grand. So we're in the 5 Points neighborhood now. It's all anchored around that intersection where the businesses are. And you can see there's a lot of these bungalows with these deep front porches. There's also some kind of Georgian Southern looking architecture. Families really love this area for its walkability. It feels a little hipper than some other neighborhoods ITB. I think it just has a more youthful vibe. It is still expensive because you're still inside the Beltline, but these historic bungalows are exactly the signature character of this area. Headed up into Roanoke Park, which is also part of 5 Points, and it's an example of these little triangle pocket parks. This is Roanoke Park here. These were initially planned as ravines, and they converted them into triangle parks, and there's a couple of them all throughout this area. Again, it's very dense, very walkable. You're not going to get some big lot here, but you are going to have a community feel. You're going to have access to all the 5 Points businesses. This is definitely an expensive area for good reason. Things are expensive because people want to be there. They have access to all the businesses in the area and some public schools that people are really rah-rah about. Here's an example of some new construction. You can see it. Most of it skews a little modern. This home has some of the Southern appeal in it still. Any new build you're going to find here is probably going to be at least $2 million. Now we're going to go to a completely different vibe, and that is Country Club Hills. It's anchored around the Carolina Country Club. We're still in the 5 Points area, but I want to show you some of the bigger lots. And again, these are historic homes. Anything this big is going to come with a big price tag. But as you can see on the west side of Glenwood, it's a completely different vibe than on the 5 Points neighborhood bungalows on the other side. Now we're getting closer to the Carolina Country Club. It is a very old country club in Raleigh, and it's definitely what you would call old Raleigh in its demographics. To be honest, it's not the most transplant-friendly country club. I would give that to North Ridge. You pretty much need to live in one of these little ITB neighborhoods to be accepted there. They'll happily take your deposit, make you wait a million years, and maybe never even let you in. It's non-refundable, by the way. But I'm still going to show it because the neighborhood itself is absolutely gorgeous, and you get more of a suburban feel there. You get bigger lot sizes. It's very lush, totally different vibe than 5 Points. I'm about to turn on to St. Mary Street. It's a very classic, coveted ITB street, and you will see why. And it's tree lined, the homes are set back. It's all this very classic Southern architecture. And this is just one of those streets where if you live on it, you can say, ooh, I live at St. Mary's. So we are making our way back to Glenwood. And then again, that's one of our big thoroughfares. And we're going to go north on Glenwood. The country club's going to be on our right. And I'm going to show you Country Club Hills, which is behind the country club. So on the right is Carolina Country Club. Ooh, ah. It looks like a country club. One course there. This is Overland, which takes you down to Overland Village, which is another beautiful historic neighborhood. Obviously, Glenwood is a busy road, but the homes on it in this area are still very expensive, very popular. The trade-off is you're on a busier road. And as you can see, it's not too shabby. To the right is the course itself. To the left are homes that would probably list around $3 or more million. You can see some of the original 70s homes occasionally mixed in with these, but this kind of grandeur is what this area is all about. It is pretty dreamy if you're into country club vibes. You can see some of these original 60s, 70s homes, and builders just knock down the door to buy these. This one's actually on the historic register right here. It's a modernist home. I'm glad it's on the historic register because that means they're not going to be able to knock it down. So builders will knock on the doors of these little ranches here. Perfect example. Okay. Raleigh Custom Homes, amazing local builder. They're going to tear down that little 60s ranch house and they're going to put up a $3-4 million home. It is very quiet back here. There's another luxury builder. It's not like a through traffic area because there's no businesses back here. And there's not walkability either. I mean, unless you count just walking to the country club. But people like how quiet it is. That is part of the appeal. Any signs you see in this area are going to be attached to our luxury home builders. Another example right there. And this is maybe price per square foot, some of the most expensive real estate in Raleigh. If you're not a country club goer, people still do like this neighborhood just because it is close to everything and it's very quiet. The price point here, honestly, these little ranch teardowns go for about $1 million. It's the land that's so valuable. So if your heart is set on truly being in Country Club Hills and you want a bigger, newer home, I'd say you need to be spending around $2 million and up. That's Crabtree Creek Trail, runs through this area, feeds into our greenway system. Yeah, you drive through this neighborhood and it's just a lot of oohs and ahs, and you can see and feel why people are paying such big bucks to live here. So now we're headed towards North Hills. North Hills is just outside 440, which is our inner belt line. You still have very easy access to downtown and all the ITB areas, but people have started calling it Midtown. So North Hills, again, you're going to see a mix of these incredible luxury new builds, and then you'll see the 60s and 70s homes that were there when that area was initially developed. Now it does not, hence the Midtown nickname. When they're building in this area, they're building $2, $3, $4 million builds when they build new here because the land is very valuable. You have access to the North Hills district, which has just grown immensely. It's another kind of mall, makes it sound like not the right vibe. It's another outdoor kind of shopping, entertainment, restaurant area. There's also some apartment buildings in it, and they're planning actually a really big high-rise for that area, but another controversial Raleigh project. But this is also some very expensive real estate. It has started to even rival ITB. So we are headed right towards the shopping district, and you can see the kind of homes they have here. So we're about to take a ride on North Hills Drive and head towards that entertainment, dining, shopping area I mentioned. There's Northbrook Club, which is like a swim and tennis facility. There's some greenway trails that run right through this area. North Hills Drive is a little busier. It's got a 2-lane solid road, but we are headed right to the heart of it all. And as we get closer to the North Hills entertainment area, you'll see the homes just getting bigger and bigger. So you can see some examples of new construction here. They're all probably built of the same era. In North Hills, you're still going to have a bigger lot size than you would ITB, and it is easier to get new construction if that's what you're after. It's still mixed in with these original 60s, 70s homes, but a lot of it looks like this. So you can see the streets are still pretty wide. There's still sidewalks here. See, that sign says luxury pre-sale. They're going to take down that 60s brick ranch. And again, no matter where you're looking in Raleigh, or if you don't even know what part of Raleigh is going to suit you, that is what I do. All day, every day. Send me a message. All of my info is in the description below. We're going to turn on to Six Forks, which the mall itself is off of. Six Forks is one of our main veins that run north-south. People do start to complain about the traffic on Six Forks at rush hour and all that, but I think when you're relocating from a bigger city, Raleigh traffic doesn't register in the same way. I've lived in Chicago. I've lived in New York City. I know traffic. So Raleigh traffic doesn't bother me that much. However, if you were born and raised in Raleigh, then it does start to bother you because this all used to be a very sleepy area and now it gets quite congested. So to the right is Lassiter Mill, which is its own little shopping area. Definitely still North Hills, but it's separate than the core of it. I'm going to drive you into the core of the North Hills shopping district. We've gotten a lot of new shops, more luxury brands. They just announced a Veronica Beard, which is A+ realtor close. Very excited about that. North Hills has some luxury high-rises, some very popular buildings with amazing amenities. There's some great restaurants and high-end shopping here, like Peter Millar. There's Kendra Scott. There's Finks, which is a great jewelry and watch outpost. There's also some fabulous restaurants. There's Coquette, there's Cucillo Terrazza, there's just some great restaurants here. There's also Bar Taco. That's my favorite. I know that's a chain, but it's delicious. So now we're going into the main side of North Hills. There's also businesses behind us, and I'm pretty partial to that side. There's a big green space that kids can run around in, but this is the thick of it. So as you can see, it's outdoor. It definitely doesn't feel like a mall. Monkeys is a great women's boutique. There's an REI here. There's Firebirds, which is a nice grill. There's Finks, the jewelers. There's an Anthropology. Anthropology is also opening a Maeve, which is like one of their indie offshoot brands. There's Bonobos, Pio Millar. You think sells Rolexes. I mean, it doesn't get much more bougie than that. There's a movie theater back there. There's also Five Guys and Chick-fil-A, Ben and Jerry's. There's my beloved Bar Taco. See, there's a Bentley parked there. There's been some controversy about these new high-rise buildings that they're going to put in here. But honestly, in my opinion, density is better than sprawl. It's better for the environment. It's better for a city's health. I know, of course, there's not growth without cons. And a con of that growth obviously is going to be the traffic. But at the end of the day, I'm a fan of density over building out. True Food Kitchen is a great organic restaurant, and this is a brand new section of North Hills. There is a Restoration Hardware with the rooftop flagship restaurant, and it is so gorgeous. It's like eating in a magical greenhouse solarium. Again, this is a chain. I know they have it in other cities, but it was exciting to see it come to Raleigh. This is the Lasseter Mills shopping area over here, which has some great boutiques. Also, Quail Ridge Books, which is really a treasure. But I'm going on a street right behind North Hills to show you what kind of luxury they build out here. And again, this stuff is so expensive because you are just a 2-minute walk from all of North Hills. So Rockingham is a great example. Again, you were 1 block from all of that. Look at these homes. They're pretty incredible. In this area, you'll still see some of these people who are holding out. They're like, I ain't selling to a builder like this house. God bless you. But most of what you're going to see are homes like these. A lot of these builders build spec homes, so they make the decision and they list it like any other house, but a lot of them are pre-sales. So if it is your dream to build a truly custom home, having relationships with these builders is very helpful. Different builders kind of specialize in different things in this area. North Hills is a great option if you're a professional family, if you're very into luxury housing, or you just want access to all of kind of city amenities without actually having to feel like you're living in a city. The streets definitely still feel very suburban, but you have access to North Hills, so you don't even need to go downtown for good restaurants and shopping and all that. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, city and suburbs. So now we're driving north on Six Forks. Once we cross over the outer Beltline, which is 540, we're going to be in North Raleigh. I love this area, and you'll see why. We're still rolling north to North Raleigh. We're in North Raleigh now. This is Six Forks. We're about to pass the main kind of commercial area here. There is a big Target. There's a Chick-fil-A. In the South, those things go together like peas and carrots. There's a Whole Foods. It's just a ton of other businesses packed in this area. It's right inside 540, which again is our outer Beltline. If you're in this part of North Raleigh, still under 540, you'll still be on city sewer and city water. When we get farther into North Raleigh, you'll notice that it feels very wooded, and that is because it's right under Falls Lake, which is the water source for Raleigh. So there's an environmental overlay over this whole area we're about to be in. And basically it says that for each subdivision, it needs to average into 1 dwelling per acre. So that's not to say that everyone has an acre lot, but that's the average of every subdivision. So it feels quite wooded. You also have a lot less impervious space to work with up here. And impervious space is anything that's developed, anything that's cement, anything that the water can absorb into, because the whole point is that they are controlling the runoff that's going to go into Falls Lake. So if you live in North Raleigh, you're going to be on septic. You're going to have community well, if not a private well. Most of it's community well, a company called Aqua. And to some people, that's a con. I don't think it's that big of a deal personally. We do extra inspections for things like that. But I live in North Raleigh because I love how it feels like you're in the country, like you have a mountain house. You're only 25 minutes to downtown up here. So to me, that's not such a bad commute. I moved from New York City, which by the end of it, by the time I lived out near Long Island, like I had a monster commute. So 20 minutes in your car with your own music is not that big of a deal. This is a very North Raleigh establishment right here, Taylor's Wine Shop. It's a gas station. You can get bait, like you can get bloodworms, and they also have this amazing wine program there and wine shop. So the sign will be like biscuits, Bordeaux, and bloodworms. And if that's not North Raleigh in a nutshell, then I don't know what is, because people up here, they have boats, they like to fish, hence the bait. It's still a very high-end area, hence the Bordeaux, and you're still in the South, hence the biscuits. So this is a double-line road, but I'm going to turn on a road called Durant Road, and it is gorgeous. They have a lot of these high-end luxury neighborhoods on Durant, but North Raleigh is an area, it's not like North Hills where like you have to spend $1 million up. There are some of these incredible new build neighborhoods we'll pass by, but you can also get up here for a more modest home that hasn't been renovated. You could probably get in North Raleigh in the 600s. If you want a home in Shadow Creek Estates or Avalier, we're talking $2 million and up. A lot of the homes up here are in HOA neighborhoods, not all of them, but a lot of this area is HOA territory. Pros and cons, right? Some people are not into that. I like an HOA because number one, a lot of them have amenities up here. So yes, you're paying a fee, but they're pretty modest if the neighborhood is large, and you're getting like a pool and a playground and tennis courts and all these amenities that you don't have to have liability for or pay for or maintain personally. So I enjoy that. The other thing about an HOA is it does protect your home's value, because I've shown homes where you're like, why isn't this sold? It looks nice. The price is right. Like, what's the problem? And then you get there and you see that the next door neighbor has an absolute junkyard, and that's why. And if there's no HOA, there's nothing you can do about that. I like it for that reasons. And I have clients who are like, no HOA whatsoever. I want to do what I want to do on my land. And I get that too. So let's go into Avalier. This is the original side of Avalier. So Avalier's gorgeous. They're all $1 million plus. I will say one thing about this neighborhood is they still clear cut it. I guess not technically, like there are some little trees between the homes. But for me, if I'm spending $2 million, like I want a tree or two. So that would be a con for me. But people love this because they have shiny, clean, new luxury homes, and there's nothing wrong with that. So now we're outside of Avalier, and this is what most North Raleigh looks like. A lot of the homes are sort of early 2000s, and that is a good era of building in Raleigh, in my opinion. It's before they were like throwing up homes really quickly. They're typically made by custom builders. It's after the era of polybutylene piping. It's after the era of masonite siding, which we have a lot of in Midtown Raleigh. It can be a more problematic, fussy product. They don't use it anymore. So a home in the early 2000s is going to be past the point of all those problematic building products. This is a neighborhood called Crossgate, and Crossgate has some really gorgeous amenities. This is a sort of typical North Raleigh amenity situation. There's a clubhouse, there's a pool, there's tennis courts, there's a playground. The HOA fees are pretty low on these neighborhoods, maybe $100, $200 a month. And to me, if I'm paying that, I at least want to get something out of it, and that is the perk of a North Raleigh neighborhood like this. And I do love this entrance they have here at Crossgate. One downside of this neighborhood is there's a little bit of 540 road noise, depending on how deep you are in the neighborhood. That becomes less and less problematic the more north you get, where it starts to feel quite rural. You can see there's a lot of these big farm properties left here, which I'm sure are just worth a ton now, interspersed in these luxury new build neighborhoods. Now we're going to pull into Shadow Creek Estates. This is some of the most expensive custom homes in North Raleigh. There's actually some neighborhoods in North Raleigh where you can see a view, like a mountainy looking view, especially Adams Mountain. It's gated, so I can't take you back there, but you can see like a little something in the distance there. I do like that about this neighborhood. They did a nice job for leaving trees up here. And if you want a North Raleigh dream home, Shadow Creek Estates is here for you, and I would love to sell it. I hope you enjoyed this snapshot of some different parts of town. Of course, it's different actually touring it yourself. So if you are coming to town curious about the area, I'd love to take you out. Send me a message. All my info is in the description below. See you next time.